health and the impact that we can bring to the patient population that we have today. But then from there, I started to go into advanced wound care sort of accidentally. Some of the patients that were given to me were dealing with these sort of deep stalled wounds that don't heal so well, and so you passionately kind of get into that, and then that's what sort of drew me in. And then here I am today. I'm learning a little bit more and doing some research right now with the university that I'm at to sort of look at what tools and devices are out there and sort of the molecular standings and how that's impacting the wounds that we're seeing in my facility.
Vikram, that sounds really, really interesting. So tell us more about that research and what you're hoping to uncover.
So we started this research about a couple of years ago. We're really getting heavy into it now, talking with the patients and seeing how we're using certain technologies in their wounds, because some of the things that we're starting to see is that the comorbidities have gotten worse, and that's really impacting high blood pressure and some of the sugar levels. And surprisingly, overall nutrition is what we're starting to see. That's how it's impacting the health of the skin. So we can't just rely on putting in, a dressing into that wound to see if that's going to heal it. What we're starting to see is we have to do a holistic approach. So some of our research is also looking at what is a diet, what are they taking in, and how is that expelled out into their skin, and how are those molecules changing because of that diet and some of the nutrition value that they're starting to see. So from there, we went ahead and we were looking at patient A, patient B, and we noticed these big differences. We're still in the early stages of this research, but I think we're coming a long way in starting to notice that really keeping the molecular consistency of these devices and how that's impacting and staying in the wounds, and then what is that doing as it conforms into the wounds and getting into the stalled areas of it, and how is that changing with the DNA, because we don't want to alter what is happening to those wounds, right? So the research is starting to look at a little bit further on where the molecular standings are with those devices.
Now, you've covered a lot of ground. You're talking about molecular research. You're talking about something as simple as diet. So as part of your education so far, what would you say has been the most valuable lesson you've learned? I know you mentioned you're a fourth-year medical student at a really prestigious lab that's doing very innovative things right now. So in your eyes, what has been the most valuable thing you've learned so far?
So just in the 4 years, things have been changing so much in what we're seeing with the innovations and the technologies that are available in advanced wound care. So I'd say, the first year we were starting to see the matrices of some of these devices and what they were doing and how they were conforming to the wound bed, and that was fantastic, and we were excited then. I was excited then entering that field. But here we are 4 years later, and now we're seeing these dressings that are not only adapting to the wound bed, but they're also helping with the debridement, and we know that that's just as important with the getting sort of the infection rates low and how it's sort of bearing into those wounds. But big changes just in 4 years, and I think that's why I'm excited, because in that short amount of time we're now seeing changes and what's being developed. And I think that for me, I've had to be open, and it's easier because I am a younger medical professional, and I'm new to this field. And so I think that, being open to what is out there and seeing the technologies and taking those risks and being open to what you're starting to work with is the most exciting and the biggest changes that we're starting to see.
What has been the most eye-opening revelation or eye-opening nugget that you've come across so far that you would share with other medical students?
A wound is not a wound. One wound is not like another. It may appear to be. The patient may be, having the similar situation and tendencies that another patient is, and down the hallway, but honestly, they're still not the same. You have to treat each one very individual. You have to accept the fact that there's still something different with those two patients, that one day this patient, while they both are diabetics, one day the other's insulin might drop significantly.
Right.
The other patient might then all of a sudden develop some sort of other illness that's going to impact how that wound heals. And I think that's been the biggest challenge and one of the most eye-opening things, because when you're in med school, you're learning and you're getting all these studies, and you still get these studies today. So much research is being done, and it's a great guidance, but it's not exactly telling us how to treat the patient because every patient is different.
Now, how much exposure have you had so far to during medical school to actual wound care?
Oh, I'm in it. We are there. We're looking at these patients. Like I said, this is how I'm identifying that two patients not the same, despite on paper having the same statistics, having the same comorbidities, having the same levels and standing when you come into the facility. That is very different. So no, we're getting in there. We're helping some of the physicians that are already well into it. We're working with the clinicians on staff who are very busy and also don't have all the time in the world to work with the patients. So we're in there trying to actually get the work done and make sure that those wounds are treated, the wound bed is prepped, and everything is ready to go because more hands on deck is really the
Right.
approach that we need to take right now.
Now we've gotten such a great story from you about why you decided to go into the medical field. We now want to open up to the floor. Obviously, everyone here at SAWC is interested in the same thing. We want to hear from you out there. What was your passion? What drew you to the field of wound care? Is there anyone out there that would like to share what interested them in this field? Oh, we have someone right now. What's your name and where are you from?
I'm Caroline from Illinois. First time at SAWC. Woo!
All right.
All right. So I got into this field because I had a parent who has diabetes. They got a chronic wound. I saw all the ailments that they were going through. It was just a disaster. But the nurses were great and the doctors were awesome who were helping them. So I saw them. I was a little bit younger. I was right in undergrad, but that's really why I got into it. So this is awesome to hear from a fellow medical student. I'm also in my last year of medical school, so that's very helpful to hear. So that's why I got into it. So I highly encourage anybody else to get into it too.
Do you have any tips for Vikram?
You got this. Boards are coming. It's okay. We'll get through it together.
Oh, all right. Well, thank you so much, and safe travels back to Illinois after the conference. All right. Now, Vikram, what are you looking forward to when you go into it? I know you're at such an excellent. You really have some great mentors available to you. What are you really looking forward to the most?
I think what's really exciting is that what we're doing right now in this field is we're treating and managing the biggest organ on your body. And so I'm looking most forward to just getting in there and continuing to do this research as our patients evolve and also as the technology evolves, because it's all changing. Our patients are changing and they're only going to get older, and I think it's really exciting to see what's next. What are the challenges that we're going to take on,
Right.
and what advice and what way do we have to treat them, because I think that we really have an opportunity to do a lot more.
Well, Vikram, very well said. Thank you so much. And thank you out there for joining us live here on The Pulse. If you have any questions about what's coming up next, we'll be here all through Saturday. Make sure you check out all the information at medlineconferences.com/SAWC2018. You can also follow us on social media where we will definitely be talking more about this. But for right now, we're going to leave it right here. We'll see you back here in a few minutes. Okay.
Yay!
Good job.
Yeah.
Pardon? Yeah. Okay, you're setting. Okay.
The Hyalomatrix wound device is composed of a semi-permeable silicone membrane and HYAF, esterified hyaluronic acid.
So,
The HYAF biodegradable matrix acts as a scaffold for cellular colonization and capillary growth, facilitating dermal reconstruction in stalled chronic wounds or surgical wounds. Begin by donning gloves,
You can sit
cleansing
there
a wound environment,
Right.
and
the room
applying a skin protectant
and tell
to the
AJ how
skin.
to ask the questions.
The wound
That
should
has
be
nothing
free
to
of
do with the
debris or
videographer.
infection
But I can't
prior
help
to
you
the
understand that,
application
so
of
that's your
And you're not
Hyalomatrix.
going to be able to, but someone has to
Using
tell them, okay,
aseptic
what this is going to
technique,
be used
open
for
the
or
outer
whatever,
pouch.
but
The inner
as long
tray
as,
can be
but
passed into a
that's all
sterile
you
field.
can, that's all
Open
you
the tray
can do.
and remove the product.
And
If
the
necessary,
videographer's still not gonna
Hyalomatrix can be
accept
cut to size.
No, that's editing.
Gently remove Hyalomatrix from the protective sheet. The silicone layer may be fenestrated for draining wounds. Apply the device to the wound. The device may be fixated using sterile adhesive strips, sutures, or staples. Then cover it with a contact layer. Finally, cover with an appropriate absorbent secondary dressing. A compression bandage may be used, or you can simply use gauze wrapping. To use Hyalomatrix on a tunneling sacral wound, remove the silicone layer from the device and apply to the wound. Apply the contact layer and secure it with an appropriate secondary dressing. Removal of the silicone layer of Hyalomatrix is recommended when the tissue underneath is clearly visible or ready for grafting, typically 14 to 21 days after application. Hyalomatrix is indicated for partial and full thickness wounds, second-degree burns, pressure ulcers, venous ulcers, diabetic ulcers, chronic vascular ulcers, tunneled or undetermined wounds, surgical wounds, trauma wounds, and draining wounds.
Reducing the cause of pressure ulcers in healthcare facilities. Still ahead, live on The Pulse, we're showing you one product that is becoming a go-to item in both the long-term care and hospital setting to help prevent pressure injuries. Because you're just
Hello, if you're joining us live on the YouTube live stream or right here in our audience at SAWC, my name is Vivica Panagiotakakos, and we want to welcome you to The Pulse. We have hours worth of coverage to bring to you over the next few days right here at SAWC. So if you'd like to see our expert lineup and all the folks that will be doing product demonstrations, you can check out the full schedule at medlineconferences.com/SAWC 2018. Right now, we want to switch gears to a topic impacting healthcare. The Agency for Healthcare Research and Quality says more than 2.5 million people in the U.S. develop a pressure injury. That's a cost of more than $9 billion a year. One product in particular is becoming a vital part of prevention and treatment protocols for clinicians in both the hospital and the long-term care setting. Medline Product Manager Vera Gaskill is here to join us with the technology behind Optophone. Vera, thanks for coming here today.
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm very excited to show off Optophone.
So where are clinicians using Optophone?
pretty much in every facility, whether it is post acute or the acute care setting. We're even seeing it used, and it's available to be used in home health. But really, across the board, we're seeing this used in hospitals to help prevent pressure injuries and pressure ulcers. But as far as in the post acute setting and in long term care, some of the clinicians there are starting to use it to also help with making sure that they're not getting the bed sores that we're commonly seeing in that setting.
Right, right. Now, let's talk about prevention. How is Optofoam being used to prevent serious skin injuries?
Yes, so the great thing about a foam like Optofoam is that you can use it with other products, but also use it in a prevention manner. So should you put markers then? Okay.
Okay.
Prevention matters. So here we go, and I'll just go ahead and take one of the products out. So this is the Optofoam Gentle SA. This is a silicone-faced foam and border. And what you would do is you just open it up right now and you sort of apply it onto the part that you're trying to protect. So maybe it's the sacral area, or maybe just, also the behind. And then you put it there. And it sort of adds that layer, that foam, because there's several layers in it. While it is thin, there's several layers in it that help to absorb the impact that support surface would put onto it. So this way, you're getting that additional layer of protection, and you're reducing your chances for having a pressure injury.
Now, I see you have a number of different types in this product line. Why was it so important for Medline to create something like that, and how have they really evolved their offering?
Well, so we have had Optofoam for many years, but the nice thing is that when we're here at conferences like SAWC, we are talking with the clinicians here and also the surgeons and listening to what some of their pain points are and some of their concerns. And so we've really evolved the foam. And so we know that there are several parts of the body that need protection and that also need treatment when it comes to skin health and advanced wound care. So we went ahead and listened to those suggestions and those concerns and made the different offerings depending on the location of where you're putting the foam, also how the foam should lie on that part of the body, because not every part it can sit properly on. So it's nice because this way that they absorb that pressure and reduces those injuries.
Now, if you look at the actual products, someone might think, I mean, I can feel something here, but it's so small. I mean, why is that so valuable? What's so special about this particular foam?
So the nice thing is it's a 5-layer foam. And, if somebody were to come up and actually feel it, it doesn't feel really thick, but you know that the added protection is in there. And this is because of the technology that we've created to make this full thickness 5-layer dressing. And it also is able to absorb. So this is where we're talking about the treatment and no longer just the prevention. It is also absorbing any drainage that we're seeing in some of the wounds. So when you open it up and then you place it on, just like this, you're starting to see that you can push down, and that's the 5 layers that's underneath. This is a special technology that we at Medline went ahead and worked with to help create that absorbs and then also prevents by absorbing that shock and that pressure.
Now, that's really interesting because there's a lot of research that went into this product. Tell us more about that and why it was so necessary to take that step.
So yes, exactly. When we are talking with clinicians and hearing what some of their concerns are and the challenges that they're seeing, and whether it is in the acute facility or a long-term care facility in those nursing home beds, we went ahead and also did research. So we went one step further in taking these products and Optofoam and seeing how they performed, and we did notice significant changes and reductions in the number of pressure injuries that these facilities are seeing. Some of our KOLs that we have here speaking this weekend can also attest to what they're seeing, and they've done research and papers and case studies on this. So it is really exciting because we know that it has that protection, but it can also manage and treat the wounds that we're seeing. And the one thing that does really nicely with Optofoam is it works real nicely with the portfolio of products that we have in skin health at Medline. So it may not just be Optofoam. it can also be Optifoam with this wound dressing,
Right.
and you apply it right over, and they work so well together. And that was what we did, is we were looking at the research of not just this, but also how is it performing when we use Opticell with it. When you apply the Optifoam on top, then how is it absorbing that drainage and the pus that some of these patients are dealing with, and the clinicians are then having to clean up and making sure that they're not seeing further advancements in those wounds.
It's very interesting, Vera. You mentioned that this can be used for prevention, it can be used for treatment across many different care settings. So we want to open up the floor right now. We know that there are a lot of different clinicians who do practice in those spaces. Is there anyone here that has a question about Optifoam? Oh, okay. What's your name and where are you from?
Herb from Vermont is back.
Okay. Hi, Herb.
So, my question, we have this in our facility. We have it in the sacral size. Or is Medline going to be coming up with any more sizes? I know that this can be used on pretty much the entire body. So will there be more sizes to come?
Good question.
Yeah, that's a good question. So one of the nice things is we are listening to the feedback, and we want to hear from clinicians like yourself. So I would actually like to reconnect right after. We'll be on the other side here of the Medline booth. But this is how we've developed this portfolio, is by listening to what the needs are, because we know that the needs of the patients and the clinicians are starting to change, and they keep evolving. So there are new parts of the body that are needing this type of foam, so that we can reduce what we're seeing with those injuries in those patients. So we do take into account what everybody is saying, and we're more than happy and open to evolving the line, and we have to keep doing that because healthcare is evolving, patients are evolving, skin health is evolving, and we are evolving with it.
Thank you again for that question, Herb. Safe travels back to Vermont. You talked a lot about the different portfolio and how it's expanded. As a product manager, what is the most exciting part of this, most exciting part of the job for you?
Sure. So I do love hearing from the clinicians, but we get to really hear these success stories when it comes to Optifoam, and we know how well it's working when they're saying that, I was kind of surprised. I didn't think that this foam was going to do the job. Even though you told me about the 5 layers and that it has the silicone face foam and it's got that nice border. And one of the other things that's really nice about Optifoam that we didn't get to touch on, but because of that silicone, you're not hurting the patient either.
Right,
so you
very
want to,
gentle.
yes, it's so gentle. So when you're applying it and then you lift it right off, it's not disturbing them. It's not ripping off any hair. It's simple
So
on
you
the
could
skin.
still check it.
Yes.
It's still going to be adhesive, but very gentle
And
on
one
the
of the
skin.
other things too, not only is that gentle part on the skin so important of the ease of use and when you're taking it off, but also it's helping with the silicone to reduce the moisture that can collect there.
Good
because
point.
this is a foam that is sitting on areas that can kind of get sort of damp and
Right,
moist,
right.
and they're sitting there and the pressure is building, maybe the patient is sweating.
Right.
So this is really helping in also reducing the issues on the skin in those areas, because the last thing that they want is further problems on those.
Great information, Vera. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you for those joining us live at SAWC or following that live stream. That's all the time we have for right now. So if you want to check out more experts, more product demonstrations, be sure to check out medlineconferences.com/SAWC 2018 for the full lineup. For now, I'm Vivica Panagiotakakos with Medline. We'll see you next time. Oh, here.
Is a foam just like any other foam? One researcher says maybe not. Kevin Wu joins us live on The Pulse with his research on a 5-layer foam. See the impact that Optifoam has on his elderly patients.
These instructions apply to the following product. Use this product to provide a smooth, breathable film on the skin. It is ideal for skin exposed to urine, feces, or excess moisture. Apply the product to all areas of the skin where a water-resistant film is required. Reapply as needed. OptiCell is a strong and conformable gelling fiber dressing that utilizes a unique chitosan-based gelling fiber technology called Chitoform to deliver excellent benefits to the wound environment. OptiCell with Chitoform technology is exceptionally absorbent and conformable while remaining strong when moistened. OptiCell AG combines silver with the conformable design to deliver broad-spectrum antibacterial efficacy. When the dressing encounters a wound environment, silver ions are activated to manage bioburden. Begin by donning gloves, cleansing the wound environment, and applying a skin protectant to the skin around the wound. To apply, first remove the OptiCell or OptiCell AG dressing from the package. If the wound is dry or lightly draining, OptiCell may be pre-moistened before application. Place the dressing on the wound bed and cover with an appropriate secondary dressing. In this application, we are managing a venous leg ulcer, so we're using Coflex TLC 2-layer compression system to achieve therapeutic compression levels and to cover the OptiCell dressing. To remove OptiCell, gently lift one corner and then slowly lift off the dressing. OptiCell and OptiCell AG are indicated for dry to heavily draining, partial and full thickness wounds. OptiCell can be left in place for up to 7 days or until the dressing is saturated with wound fluid. OptiCell may be used under compression bandage systems and may be cut or pre-moistened before application.
Coming up live on The Pulse, you'll get a first-hand look at a wound dressing that promotes natural healing. Dr. Justin Baker will be joining us live, talking about his research on technology that works to preserve collagen's natural structure. You'll see how it's being used to treat chronic wounds.
Yeah, we're good.
Optifoam? That's what this is?
Do you want to make sure that all this break stuff is running? Miguel, do you want to go through all the breaks too? Or do you want to just go one by one of the segments?
So we can condense the breaks.
Let's condense the breaks. So
We can also condense the segments. Okay,
yeah,
So,
This is, yeah.
because it's too long.
Right.
These guys have to run through their stuff too.
so we want to make sure that all the assets get handled.
Okay.
Yeah, I
So-
think once you get through assets, maybe like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're going to tell you next.
how about like
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
So we're only going to go to 5, right?
Yeah.
And this is Optifoam?
Can we just pause?
Yeah, Kevin Wu Optifoam.
Okay.
Okay.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, what time is it? Oh my god, it's already 1:10.
I'm Vivica Panagiotakakos. Welcome back to The Pulse, Medline's news network, coming to you live here at SAWC. Just moments ago, we witnessed the technology that makes Optifoam a unique weapon in the battle to prevent, manage, and treat wounds. It's estimated that 3 to 5% of people 65 years and older are living with a chronic wound at any given time. If we dive a little further, research shows us that pressure injuries were the most common of those wounds. Our coverage to bring you the latest insights in advanced wound care continues. Our next guest is no stranger to clinical research and joins us now to share details on a specific study he did that looks at multi-layer foam dressing and the prevention of pressure injuries. Dr. Kevin Wu, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Now, Dr. Wu, in the U.S., government data estimates that the number of people using long-term care services will jump to 27 million in about 30 years. What concerns do you have for the growing patient population and the integrity of their skin?
Right. So we know that there's tons of people, they're aging. So I'm Canadian, but I will talk about the United States statistics. But yeah, so we have the baby boomers, they're aging. So that's where those statistics are coming from. So people who are aging, they also have more chronic conditions. So they have multiple chronic conditions, which is making them susceptible to those chronic wounds. So I'm sorry, what was the question?
What concerns do you have for integrity of their skin?
So yes, so my biggest concern is that as they age, their skin is becoming even more fragile, so it's tearing more easily. They're getting more of those chronic wounds. So that's my biggest concern, and that they're going to continue to get even more deeper wounds, more serious wounds, and being able to keep up with that trend. Having those products that are available to us is so important.
Now, foam has been used for years, but during the course of your research, what did you learn that was really new?
So yeah, foam is nothing new. I'm sure all of us have used it before. Foam is more so than what people think. They just are seeing a bandage, but it's way more than a bandage. Specifically, the one that I used in my research with this 5 layers. It's so it's not so much thick, whereas it's just built up, where you can place it on that wound and you know that there's a little bit more cushion than you normally would get from, let's say, a regular bandage. And yeah, like keeping that wound nice and depressurized, so you're not making an even bigger wound when you don't need to.
Right. Now, taking that multi-layer foamed approach, what have you noticed has been the biggest difference in your practice? And I know we're seeing some of the images.
Yeah, you can see
here
this here on this little animation that's going. You can see those layers. So this has made a huge difference in our practice. So those pressure injuries that you hear about in the news, where you're practicing it in your own facilities, it's made such a difference, whether that's in your sacral area or any other part of your body, because you can put this anywhere. That's why this is, it's such a differentiator. You can put it literally anywhere on the body, and it just takes that pressure off. So let's say an older patient, they're not getting up and moving around. They're sitting, they're laying. So all that pressure is right there on them. So that 5 layers really is protecting them from those like bed sores that you hear about. So all that pressure. So even when we're sitting, we're actually moving around. So we're adjusting ourselves as we go, whereas these patients aren't. They're not able to do that. And if the nurses and the clinicians aren't actually physically moving them, they're sedentary.
They're
run
the risk.
They run that risk. The risk is heightened for them to get those pressure injuries. So that's why this is such a game changer with those 5 layers.
Now, your study also looked at the importance of microclimate. Can you tell us more about what that is and the role that Optifoam plays in managing it?
So yeah, microclimates, I don't have any idea what those are, but here we go. So microclimates, different climates throughout the world. You can see we have rain here. I'm from Canada, so we have basically all the seasons. A little bit less summertime than wintertime, but yeah, so we have more winter, all the different things that come along with your changing of skin. So in the winter, our skin tends to dry out as a general rule of thumb. In the summertime, we do swell a little bit. So if you have a wedding ring or something, you can kind of feel it tightens in the summer versus in the winter. So that's kind of where we're going with the microclimate, to see what the effects on the skin are.
Right. And when you think about that skin, I know earlier you had mentioned that depending on maybe what your lifestyle is, if you're in your bed and you're not moving a whole lot, there could be that potential to create heat and moisture.
Correct.
So knowing with the layers of foam that it can help improve that.
Exactly.
That's
so it's
really
absorbing that, it's sweat.
Right.
You know, so you're laying, you're in bed, say you have a couple more blankets on you.
Right.
Again, if you're not being moved and you're that sedentary person, you are very highly susceptible to this pressure injury.
Kevin Wu, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for joining us live. There is so much more coverage to come. If you check out medlineconferences.com/SAWC 2018, you can find the full lineup. For now, I'm Vivica at The Pulse. We'll see you here in just a few minutes.
All right.
Okay. We got
I
Naz
know it says
Wahab. Do you want to be
SAWC
Naz?
2018 and all their stuff, but it will
Oh wait,
redirect
what's next? Is it
to where
Naz?
they would need to go for this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want me to check it again? It'll change for WOCN. See, once we, like, this is the only time it's going to work for just medlineconferences.com.
Okay.
Once we start having more and more.
We just
things.
need a KOL.
Okay, let's keep it with SAWC 2018. Okay, we're just keeping SAWC 2018 in
Okay.
case like someone sees it later and they're like, oh, what is this? Because it,
Okay.
once WOCN starts,
Okay.
let's just keep it
Okay. Okay.
2018. Who is this person now? Wahab?
Naz
Oh,
Wahab.
yay! I want to be her. She's smart and pretty.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what product? What is that? OptiCell?
Hello, I'm Vivica Panagiotakakos with Medline, and we would like to thank you for joining us right here at The Pulse. We have a great roster of wound care experts that will join us throughout the conference, so check out our schedule to make sure you don't miss out. Healthcare professionals are used to offering solutions, but what happens when that practitioner becomes the patient? Check out this powerful story.
I was an avid cyclist, swimmer, and runner, and
Are you gonna
had
play this whole
a
video?
very bad bicycle accident coming
Okay.
down a pass in Colorado. Basically
guys gonna
landed
be, like,
on my
looking at
left
this?
side.
You
Most of
two
my
are both gonna
face,
be looking at
the
this?
skin
Yeah.
of my face
Will this
was
play in the live
removed.
stream?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Forehead, cheek,
This poor woman.
definitely headed the right direction.
Just 'cause she was on.
I know.
Bless her
That
heart.
was fast, wow. Dr. Naz Wahab, who you just saw in that piece, now joins us live. Dr. Wahab, thank you so much for joining us. And before we jump into learning more about this particular story, can you tell us about OptiCell and how it can aid in wound healing?
Absolutely. So thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak to you. And yes, this was such an emotional journey. This patient, I really formed a bond with her because, you know, she had these deep wounds, but I'll go into a little bit about that. So OptiCell, going back to your question, it's we look to the sea for this product, so it actually has crustaceans within it. It's pretty interesting. So it's actually a gelling fiber. So you would put it on a wound and it would actually gel up. So like the moisture that's making it gel up. So you're not putting any moisture in it, but as wounds drain, that's what's making it gel. So it forms this nice gel and everything's gonna eventually, for lack of a better word, disintegrate into that skin. So it's really forming that moist wound bed, which is one of the best ways to heal wounds.
Okay, why did you choose? Are there any other video elements for this that we got to go through? Okay, good.
No.
Okay, so we're good then. Then
Okay.
we can just go to the next one. Oh, I'll just close. Thank you,
closing?
Dr. Wahab,
Oh.
for joining us. And if you'd like to check out more experts, we also have product demonstrations. Be sure to check out medlineconferences.com/SAWC 2018 to get the entire lineup. For now, we are out of time. We'll see you back here in just a few minutes.
You're only asking her one question?
No, she... We're back live right here on The Pulse. I'm Vivica Panagiotakakos. Here we bring you some of the latest insights and thinking behind healthcare trends. We also break down the science behind some of the innovations and what it means to improving patient care. If you have missed any part of our live programming, don't worry. You can visit medlineconferences.com/SAWC 2018 for the entire lineup. Now, our next guest started his career as a vascular surgeon, but later found his calling in wound care. Dr. Terry Treadwell is an expert in edema management and joins us live. Dr. Treadwell, thank you so much for being here with us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Now, we wanted to talk to you about edema. What is it and what causes it?
So it's the swelling of your extremities, and it oftentimes is a result of another healthcare issue. Many of the comorbidities that we're starting to see today with our patients and side of our facilities, and so it's causing that swelling, and that can be an extra challenge when you're treating these wounds, and sometimes an added element as to what's causing the wounds.
Now, what about swollen extremities? You talked about that. Is that something to be concerned about if there's a chronic wound or not?
So it should definitely be listed on when patients are taken in. So on that inpatient form, you definitely want to have that on there because it can really impact what are the next steps. How is that wound bed going to be treated and prepped? And how are we going to respond to the debridement of that wound? And what is the patient's skin health overall, because now we're adding this extra element of swelling to that extremity, and that's why it's so important. So it is quite a challenge, and there's different ways to work around it, and some of the research that is out there is very interesting, and it's starting to pose new ways of how we're going to treat.
Now, in your opinion, what is the best way to treat swollen extremities to help improve those outcomes?
So I definitely think elevation is very important, but then you also want to work with a dietitian on staff to address any of the nutrition concerns that are causing some of the extremities, some of which you see here. Patient A over here had the diabetic foot ulcers and was also dealing with edema.
Yes.
Also dealing
That's
with edema.
the one we need.
But then in
That's
patient
what
B,
we're on this question right now.
this is where you're starting to see that wound took a turn because the patient's overall health with their nutrition wasn't being addressed. So we couldn't just use the products to make sure that those wounds were treated. We wanted to make sure also that internally and when they're taking everything.
Okay. What do you mean?
So you want each individual question to be
Yeah, there's a different picture. Now, the first question doesn't have anything, but what problems could arise is that this stuff. And then, in your opinion, what's the best way to treat swollen extremities is that copy list.
okay. So for that, okay, got it. That's your worldview.
Yeah. So we'll do that question again. Because he's the only one that was very specific about. Really?
You wait, what? Oh, wow. I'm not even raising my voice.
I'm not either.
And I raise my, like, when I talk, my voice is like this.
Really? Oh, God, someone's going to
I mean, I'm okay with that. Y'all gonna hear me.
Oh, someone's going to complain.
Really? Do you think so?
Well, yeah.
The second and third slide. How are you addressing those? Are you going to call for those or?
What's the best way to treat swollen extremities to help improve outcomes? Like, that is my question.
That's gonna
That's going to be that copy stuff. Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
Now, because it's 3 different files.
Yeah.
So do you just want his list of the edema, or
It should be the first one.
When I
is,
see
what is
edema,
edema? Can you go back
I
to
think
it?
enema.
This is the second one of that chunk.
And also
So
edamame.
the first one is like, what is edema? Blah 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 blah. Then this
But
will
enema
go to
comes to
chronic
mind.
venous disease. Like, this is just stuff that's going to be going.
that's the first
Listen.
Yeah.
Okay, so you just want that flowing.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah. And then whatever you didn't do the last third.
I did the graph.
You did?
Yeah. So
Okay.
there's this one. Can you push up the second one? That's the second one.
Yeah.
The third.
Is this? Yeah, that can just go on a loop. And then for the question, what problems could arise if edema goes untreated, is that those feet. You can just have that on a loop.
I'm glad I don't have that word in mind. I don't think I
Which
talked
one?
about edema.
Edema?
I want to say enema.
Don't do it. Edema. Funky Medina.
Oh, hey. Bump. Bump, bump, bump.
Co-
Wow. Oh wait, that's a different one.
Medina. The link takes me to 3 results. Hampton and Uptown. Oh my god. We're Uptown, right?
Who's
God,
that?
Blair. Okay,
B?
hold on. Oh shit. Oh my god.
How many more do we have to get through?
Uptown. This is almost done.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Mine's gonna be hot mess. Oh, it's bad.
Oh, thank you for the pictures. This is he is just going to refer to it. So I mean, I think he's going to talk about it. I don't know. He just was going to be able to talk to it. So if he's referring to it or not, he'll know what this is.
This is my suggestion. You elevate the feet of the patient.
All right, so Vivica.
Yeah.
We can't do both. We can't. So if you want it rotating, we'll set it to a loop. It'll say 10 seconds, 10 seconds, 10 seconds, and replay.
Okay.
Or we can have it to where they can call it up, but it can't show, like, we can't just sequence it without referring to it.
Okay.
Like, they have to know back there what slot.
So do you want me to tell? I don't know if he's going to be able to.
Because he wanted those for this.
This is what he wanted for when he was talking about.
Communicated with him since or no?
No, I mean, if there's something we need to talk to him about, we can.
So that's what we need to talk
We just need to email Anu to get him here early.
Yeah.
Go with it.
I think we just need to just stay on this slide when we go to that.
Okay.
And what do you think shows us?
Okay.
And the rest of them, just if he calls for them,
Then we'll do it.
can put
Okay.
those up.
If he says something like, so just be listening. Oh, I had another slide where blah blah.
Oh, Caroline,
You say,
Yeah.
can we go to that second
make sure
slide?
you do a lot of bronzer.
Okay. We'll just make an audible. But for those feet, that's for the second question.
That's fine.
You're gonna go?
Yeah.
Got the edema down.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Need to know
Because Bunny thought that she's like, she looks washed
Okay.
out.
What
Because
about
it is
swollen
a
shoes?
harsh
Is that
light.
something we consider if there's a chronic
You were
wound or not?
fine, but I
What
was like, I'll
problems could
tell
arise
her.
if edema goes untreated?
You'll go look on the other side. Let me know what I look like.
Wait, hold on.
Now, if you could say for certain that you're going to go from
Wait.
the first question is the first question is definitely the list. But then if you could say, okay, I'm going to ask this question and the second slide should be up, then we can mark that.
So swollen. Okay. Swollen extremities is the. Wait. What about Okay, I say. What about swollen? Is that something to be concerned about? Then
Oh, that
we
I
go
know.
to the feet, the funky feet.
But I mean, how's like,
And
it's a
then-
bright.
And
Yeah.
then when it goes here
Yeah.
is what problems arise if edema goes untreated, then that's this.
That?
Slide 6, effects of edema. So the second question
Yeah,
I'm
it's definitely
asking is the
different
feet.
There
This
than
one.
Okay.
this little monitor.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm just going to put in my notes, feet slide, chart slide.
So that's-
I'll be contouring
Hey, Anna, can you
and
drop that
and
second
blushing
slide?
and bronzing. There's gonna be a lot of bronzer here.
This one here, capillary loss with venous hypertension.
If I tell you what I
This
had,
one,
you'll laugh.
For what you just said, we don't have
So,
a question to reference
In
this.
That is all part of this
Indy,
answer. He has 3
I was-
slides that answer
our
that
station
question.
was not far from
Yes.
3 slides. The list of what's edema, well, the one
And
before this,
the
this
Walmarts
one, and then
there
whatever that
have,
weird
like,
chart.
Chart
Yeah.
thing. Okay.
for like
So
covered,
you-
like they have like,
So we don't have a question for you to.
and I will just
Talk
go,
about-
and they have
right.
like bronzers or
There,
they have
this
like
because it's just like
this
what problems could arise if
stuff,
edema
and I
goes
just get
untreated,
that use
and then
it.
he'll talk about he'll refer to the first
It's only
one,
like $5.
and
So
then
good.
if he says we can talk to him about this if when
it's hard
time
find,
to go to
but
the
you have
next
to be
slide,
in that area, like a
then
community.
like oh
Yeah.
there was another slide and okay can we go to the next one? We'll just make it very obvious.
So that's what I do. But there was a bronzer from MAC that I really liked for a really long time. But I think it's probably too orange now. That was
Yeah.
like years ago.
First slide, second slide is okay. First slide is
List
Like
chart.
she put bronzer on me when I went this
Edema,
last time,
and
and I was
then
like, that's not
capillary-
dark enough, honey.
the
Like no,
capillary chart.
because I was like, oh yeah,
Okay.
I do bronzer. And she's like,
Remember that.
Yeah.
no.
So
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
I'm like, am
Okay.
I
We're
wrong?
okay. Are we doing
I
the
need
demo
dark
now?
bronzer.
Are we? What is he counting down to? Oh, you're just practicing? Okay. So,
Are there
learning how
kind
to count.
bars?
Should we just go on to marathon now?
Or is that just a bag? Oh, that's unfortunate.
Okay, why don't we do marathon now? And then, let me check this thingy for outs.
Do you want snacks?
Yeah, I mean, well,
Your coffee is over there. Can you?
I know. Yeah. Marathon, so we can get through it and they can start practicing their stuff. Oh, thank you.
Oh yeah, open everything. Whatever you want.
No, after Treadwell, then Megan will go set it up because it would be confusing. The passing period is when every.
So I would actually even keep this in mind. Maybe like with Treadwell, if you don't hit 10, you're cool because then it gives her a little more time, right?
Yeah.
To get to 9 with that.
Yeah.
If it's like it's not a bad thing.
Oh, okay.
Okay, maybe before the product, the segments before the product demos, if we go under, it's fine.
Yeah. If we go long.
No,
if we go
under.
short.
Yeah, because then you have more
Yeah.
time. Even though I don't think it's going to be an issue with the chaos to go
Yeah.
long. But you never know. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, hold on. Miguel is just saying something. Okay. No, go ahead.
I'm looking at my color shirt.
Oh, 1 second. Too. Okay. Okay. All right. Cool. Yeah. We are back live here on the Pulse. If you're joining us here at SAWC or online following our live stream, I'm Vivica Panagio Takakos with Medline. Throughout the conference, Medline is bringing you a front row seat to unique insights and innovative solutions to improve care in the wound care space. Now, if you've missed any part of our live programming or want to see what is coming next, simply visit medlineconferences.com/SAWC 2018, or you can follow along on Medline's social channels. At the end of this segment, we may open the floor to questions from our audience, and our team will come around with a mic, so be prepared for that. Right now, we're taking a closer look at Marathon. Now, it's a liquid skin protectant used to protect skin from moisture and friction. So to tell us more about Marathon is Medline Product Manager Tyler Max. Thanks for joining us, Tyler.
Glad to be here.
So what is Marathon?
So Marathon is an advanced wound care product. It's a no-sting cyanoacrylate skin protectant, and it's actually used to protect the skin against any moisture, friction, even if there's a cut. And it's really nice. It's a liquid, so you're not really necessarily having to have sort of the film that you would get with a product.
Now, what is it used for, and when would a clinician think about using a product like this?
So the nice thing about this is a clinician can use it because it's so small, and you use it as you're trying to protect the skin. So say that you think that you're about to have some sort of moisture situation on that patient's skin, you want to use it with another product that will help absorb the impact and what's happening in that support surface. So you would just take this, and you can see it's purple, so you also get to see it once it's on the skin, and you just do a nice little cracking of this tube, and you squeeze it, it'll go there, and so that's one of the situations where you'd be able to use that.
So why is it purple? That's pretty interesting.
It just gives a nice little guide. So at Medline, we use purple as a signifier for protectant, and this is a skin protectant. So it's a helpful reminder, especially when we're talking about education for the clinicians and how they're treating those patients.
All right, so that's been great background. Can you show us how it works?
Yes. So I started showing some of the application process here. It's very simple, very easy to use, and it's also quick to use, which is, we know, one of the issues that clinicians are having. So you would just open up this package, and it's one wrapped individually at a time. And when you take it out, you see the purple, but you want it to crack until you hear that noise. And then once that cracks, you need to push on this tube a little bit more. And then there it is. It's coming to the top into that foam area. It's a bit hard on the tip, so it's not going to be something that's going to spill everywhere once it reaches the top. And then, can I use it on your hand? And let's put it a little over here.
Okay.
All right, and then you just apply it. You can see it's kind of shiny.
Yeah.
The purple is very faint, so it's nothing to worry about. We have people that use it on their feet, and they're using it to protect their feet from the shoes. It's that sort of barrier, that sort of friction there. And there you go, you're protected.
And it's a nice visual cue as well, I'm sure, for clinicians.
Yeah, because you can see it's a guide to have that color and then also that sheen as it's on. So, you know, while it's a very sheer skin protectant, you are still getting guidance on where you're applying it.
So Tyler, tell us why Medline decided to bring this innovation to market.
Well, one of the things that clinicians definitely needed was something that was fast drying and quick to use. Ease of use is always the most important. So we went ahead and looked at the technology that was durable, breathable, and easily applicable. And the cyanoacrylate is a really great product and tool in protecting against the friction and moisture that a lot of clinicians are dealing with when they're treating their patient's skin.
And now, one of a pain point a lot of clinicians we've been talking to are talking about skin tears. Can you tell us more about that, and how prominent is that right now of a concern for clinicians?
Yes, so the skin of patients, because of the aging population, starting to break down, and we're starting to see those skin tears, especially because the collagen in the skin isn't as strong as the skin ages. And it loses that elasticity. So then it tears. It's like a piece of paper. And once it tears, you need something to protect it, but you also just don't have the nutrients to help sort of keep the skin intact. And this is a nice film that can go over it, keep the skin together, but also protect it against any moisture.
So how long does it last? I know you told me it's you don't even have to put on a lot of it for it to be effective. How long does it typically stay on the skin?
So it's not a permanent solution, but it does stay on the skin at least a day, and it is easily applicable. This is nice because you get several applications just in one box. So it's not a one-time thing. You get several of these purple tubes to use.
All right. Thank you so much, Tyler, for joining us today. That's all the time we have. If you want to learn more about Marathon and other solutions, simply visit medline.com. You can also check out our social media channels where we're always talking about our products and innovations. For now, I'm Vivica Panagiotakakos with The Pulse. We'll see you back here in just a few minutes.
More than 1 million skin tears happen each year, but what's being done to treat them? Still ahead, live on The Pulse, we're speaking with the president of the International Skin Tear Advisory Panel about her recently published case study and her different approach to treating skin tears.
These instructions apply to the following products. Use these products as an everyday moisturizer to help relieve chapped or cracked skin. Apply the product liberally to the skin. Pay special attention to dry areas. Reapply as needed. Puricol Plus is a pure native triple helix bovine collagen. This completely bioabsorbable dressing features a unique microscaffold structure that helps Puricol Plus maintain
Who's going to be
its
Justin
structural
Baker? Are you?
integrity
I'll just
with
do
a
it.
remarkably
Marianne's Justin Baker.
Oh, it's okay. We'll move it. there a plug over here? Where's the plug? Is there a plug over here?
Oh,
Charge my
Marianne.
phone. Oh, you want me to go?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hello, and thanks for joining us tonight. You are watching The Pulse, where you get a front row seat to the stories behind some of the hottest trends and happenings in healthcare. If you missed any of our live programming or want to see what's coming next, you can check out medlineconferences.com/SAWC 2018 for all that information. Now, in this segment, we want to talk collagen. While this naturally occurring protein is taking the beauty world by storm, it's also making a buzz in the advanced wound care space. Our next guest is Justin Baker. He specializes in the processing of animal tissue for collagen-based matrices used in wound healing. Justin, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Now, tell us about your background and how you're developing new ways to support advanced wound care solutions.
So my background is I have more than 15 years of work in advanced wound care and also a little bit in tissue regeneration. I've spent many years in this hospital and that hospital and A&B, and that's where I did some case studies. But my research also goes far back as Yale and Harvard, and I definitely have worked with several patients in different capacities, but I really like to focus on what's happening with the nuclear setting of the animals.
So, what made you want to study animal collagen, and how similar is it to human collagen?
So it's interesting. I kind of sort of fell in my lap. I really wasn't looking to go that route, but as I was investigating further on what was happening with our patient's skin and how the dynamic of it was changing, I definitely noticed that different animals and how their use of collagen in a product was impacting what was happening to the skin.
Now, Puricol is a collagen-based product that comes in either a sheet form or a powder form. With many different collagen options out there, what's unique about Puricol?
So the nice thing about Puricol is that once it gets into the wound bed, it immediately makes an impact, and it's that bovine DNA that's working to develop new collagen in the skin, and it works right into the wound bed. So also there's a powder form depending on how deep and how uniquely shaped that wound is.
And that's great because it gives clinicians options. Because sometimes, I mean, as many clinicians here know, a wound is very individual.
Yep, very unique. You never know what you're really going to get. Sometimes that wound can change, especially as it heals. So you want the different types of dressings and the different options.
Right. Now, what type of wound situations would benefit from something like Puricol, and how does it help in the healing process for that wound?
The best wounds that we're seeing responding to this product are really deep wounds, the chronic stalled wounds, which, you know, are the most challenging, and I think what brings a lot of the folks here to SAWC, because they're looking on the best ways to treat those wounds, because they are a problem, and they take a little more time, and they need a little more attention.
What type of benefit, what is the benefit, rather, of having both a powder form and a sheet form for this product?
It's the options. You know, one minute you might think that this wound is a certain size, and it's great. You can apply the sheet right on top of it. Other times you need a little extra, and the powder goes within it, and it can go deeper into the wound bed, and it can conform to what that wound has grown to.
Now, I know you mentioned in your background when you were telling us about how you arrived and to where you are today and that type of thing. How interesting is it to you to play such a important role in the behind the scenes? I mean, we see these products and knowing that you were part of this.
I don't know if I would call myself that important, but it has been really fascinating and exciting to see what this product can do and how it's working with the patients. I really enjoy the research aspect of it and seeing the unique circumstances in which it can be applied to.
And why is it so important? I mean, obviously clinicians want to know what are the options available, but why is it so important to really understand the science behind a product you choose?
You have to know what you're applying. You have to know the DNA that was used to create that device. Is it bovine? Is it swine? What are you using and how is it going to react? Those are all important elements to understand.
Okay, so we have a little time right now. We don't have time for camera, or Megan's doing something. Okay, so anything you would, what advice or what insight, what do you think clinicians aren't thinking about and should be when it comes to choosing collagen?
I think they're not thinking about what was used to create that collagen product. They need to understand the matrix and what is being developed and how it's going to interact with the skin.
Okay, Justin, thank you so much for joining us. If you want to learn more about Puricol, simply go to medline.com. You can also check out Medline's social channels, where we are always talking about the different innovations and updates from company. So that's all the time we have right now. We will be right back here at the Pulse in just a few minutes. Don't go away. The close with the KOL is the same camera I started on, right? Oh, okay. All right. Can we just, do we have to go through 5 minutes, or can we just, as long as we hit the video elements, we can just move on to the next one? Okay. Kim LeBlanc is the last one. Yeah. Hello and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Vivica Panagiotakakos with Medline, and we want to welcome you to the Pulse. Today, you have heard from renowned experts in the field of advanced wound care. You've heard about new innovations, and you've learned about how elements from the sea can help with wound healing. Tonight, we take a closer look at skin tears. While they can happen in any age group, fragile skin among the elderly presents an interesting dilemma for clinicians. Our next guest is Kim LeBlanc, and she is an advanced practice and certified enterostomal therapy nurse and president of the International Skin Tear Advisory Panel. Kim, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
So excited to be here to share some of these new insights and some of the research that we have.
Kim, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and why you decided to go into this field.
So I've been in wound care for 20 years now, and then now I'm currently the president of the International Skin Tear Advisory Panel, where we just released a new update in the last year. So a lot of people are now turning to that for guidance. And I got into wound care as a young clinician that was working with some of the patients, and started to go that route because skin health was becoming much more priority.
What do you think people don't realize about skin tears, and why is it critical to think about them differently?
I don't think that they understand how easily they can happen. I think sometimes it is an afterthought. It doesn't sound as serious as a chronic or a stalled wound, so it can be an afterthought and an oversight. And I think one of the things that we do need to consider is that they need just as much attention as a pressure injury or a deep wound.
And tell us about the organization you're part of, ISTAB, and its mission.
So we've been around now for about 10 years, and we look at some of the latest case studies that are out there in skin tears and how it's impacting patients. Also, how certain wound devices and some of the DNA and some of the products that are being used to create those devices, how they are addressing and working with wounds. And we've been doing that now for several years. We yearly take a look at what is out there, and we come up with guidance that clinicians can use to base their practice on.
Now, you've done so much research on this area. What are some ways you're approaching skin tears differently, and what examples can you share?
So
I know
one of
we're
the
looking at
products that we're
Marathon right now.
using is Marathon in skin tears. It's a really nice skin protectant. It has that cyanoacrylate, so it's a nice little polymer that goes over, and it's a film. So it's not intrusive to the patient, and they won't feel it so much, but it really works and protects against the abrasion and works as a moisture barrier.
Okay, thank you so much, Kim, for joining us today, and thank you for being with us today. For now, that's all the time we have tonight on The Pulse. We'll be right back right here tomorrow at 11:45 Eastern. So see the exciting lineup at medlineconferences.com/SAWC 2018. I'm Vivica Panagiotakakos here at SAWC for The Pulse. We'll see you next time. Good night.